Hello, web design class. Today we're going to talk about where you're going to place your image in your code. Where an image is placed in the code will affect how it is displayed. Here are 3 examples, which we're going to go through, are of image placement that produces different results. We're going to talk about before paragraph, inside the start of a paragraph, and in the middle of a paragraph. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a document. An HTML document. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm in my web design folder here. And I'm going to go to my old one here. Let me get rid of this. So I'm in my web design folder and I'm going to create a new folder for all of my pictures and my HTML file for this assignment. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to go to action, I'm going to create new folder, and it's going to be in my main WD, my web design folder. And this new folder is going to be called placement. And I'm going to open it up. So I'm going to double click. And I'm going to create another folder inside there, and it's going to be called images. I'm just setting it up so I can put my images in there. All right, so let's go ahead and create a website or an HTML file. So I'm going to go to my text edit. If you're on your Chromebook, you're going to go to your text app, and you're going to create a new file. Okay, so we are going to start out with the basics here as always. Doc type, please make sure that you are using doc type HTML. Since this is the HTML5 version, we're going to need a head, Medicare set, UTF-8, title, and this is going to be placement. And a backslash head, and a body. And I'm going to go ahead and give myself an H1 here so I can see something on my screen once I save and run this program in the browser. So I'm going to just call it placement of images. And give myself some white space there. Backslash body and HTML. All right, so I'm going to go to File, Save. I'm going to make sure that it is in my, not my image practice, but I'm going to make sure that it's in the right folder here. So again, it's in my web design folder and it's in my placement folder. And I'm going to make sure it's Unicode UTF-8. And I'm going to call this placement.html. And I'm going to save. All right. And it's saved. It looks good. It's in my placement folder. And I'm going to run this. I'm going to drag it over to my browser. Hopefully it works. Perfect. Placement of images. Now let's go ahead and find 3 images or pictures. I am going to do, let's do otters. I'm going to find 3 images here. And this is just going to be 3 examples. So let's go ahead. I'm going to save. I'm going to go right click or control if you're on a Mac. Again, because we are doing this locally and just for this class and it's not going to be out on the internet, it's okay that we take these images from Google. Otherwise, we should go to a image sharing site where it's royalty free. So I'm going to save image as, and I'm going to make sure that it's in the right folder. So I'm going to go to my web design folder, It's placement, and inside placement is going to be my images. And then I'm going to name this. So I'm going to call this Otter 1. And I'm going to save. I'm going to double check to make sure it's in there. And there it is, and it's JPEG. Perfect. I'm going to grab this other one here. Right click, save image as. Make sure it's in my folder. So if you want to double check, you can always go kind of back through web design class, placement folder, images folder, which is in placement. And I'm going to call it Otter 2. Save. Make sure it goes in there. Perfect. And I need one more. So let's go ahead and find one here. This one's cute. And I know it's in my folder because I see the other otters. Otter 3. I'm going to save, sorry. My window's kind of big. And I got 3 pictures. You can do any pictures that you want. I am doing otters. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. I'm going to close this out just so I have that. And let's talk about placement. So the first placement is going to be before a paragraph. So I'm actually going to do an H2 or let's do H3. And I'm going to say before a paragraph here. And we are going to place the image before a paragraph. So just as it sounds. And let's see, we've got an image, so IMG, SRC, that's the source, equals, quotation mark. Again, placement is in the same level as the images folder. So we have to say we're going to go inside the images folder. Make sure we're spelling it right. It's lowercase, yep. And we're going to use otter1. Otter1.jpg. JPEG has an E in it. And we are also going to make sure we give it an alternative name. So alt equals, and I'm just going to say otter1. Okay, if it's an alternative, just so that it shows up in case the picture is broken. We're also going to give it a title. And this is going to be, let's do before paragraph. Okay, so that's my title, space. And width, let's give it, let's make it 200. And the height, 200. So that means pixels. Again, your screen is 180 across and usually about 600 to 800 down. So that kind of gives you an idea. Now, granted, if you have a smaller viewing area in your browser, it might be slightly different, but that's where you kind of look to see. And then we need a closing caret there. Again, you don't have a closing tag for image. So you have IMG, SRC, with the path name of where to find the image. So it means it's going inside the images folder and finding otter1 JPEG. We have an alternative name, otter1, in case if we had a broken image, meaning it couldn't find the image, at least some type of word would show up to kind of describe what the picture might be. We have a title for the image, and we have a width, and we have a height. Okay, so I'm going to save, and I'm going to refresh. And my image shows up. So again, before otter paragraph, it shows the title if I have my cursor over there, and before paragraph. So this is going to be before a paragraph, and which means we're going to now need a paragraph. So you could write something about otters. You could say, well, let's first say, this example shows paragraph starts on a new line after the image. This paragraph can be about otters and shows how the picture and the paragraph are separated and not in line with each other. Because we have a paragraph after the image, it creates a block element effect. Okay, so what that means is that because the paragraph will be after the image, remember paragraphs are block elements. So let's also put that in our paragraph, block effect, because paragraphs are block elements, it creates space above and below. Okay, so because paragraphs are block elements, it will create space above and below. So that way the picture and our words won't be in line with each other. So if I save this and run, let's see. Let me move this over. Here we go. Get this all right for you guys so you can see it. I can move this over. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Refresh, and there we go. See how they're separated? That's what happens when the image is above the paragraph. Okay, so let's talk about inside the start of a paragraph and how it looks. So I'm going to create a line here. It's going to be HR slash, and I'm going to use another H3. And you notice I kind of indent when I start a new section just because it gives me a visual space as to where things are starting. You don't have to, but it will help as far as where you're tracking everything. So H3, this is inside the start of a paragraph. Okay. And we are going to need an image here. But we are going to say it's inside the start of a paragraph. So let's do a paragraph. We're going to start a paragraph here. And then we're going to have an image. IMG src equals, and it's in my images folder, slash, and I'm going to do otter2 JPEG. Make sure it's spelled correctly here. Yep, otter2. Perfect. I'm going to give it an alt name equals, and it's going to just be otter2. It's going to have a title, and the title is going to be inside start paragraph. Long title. And I'm going to have some width. Make sure I'm spelling width right. It's going to be, let's make it the same size, 200 by height. And it's going to be 200 here. All right. So that's my image. And I'm just going to save it and run just so I can check my images starting there. Perfect. So there's my image. And remember, it's inside the paragraph tag, the opening paragraph tag. So let's go ahead and type our paragraph. So let's go ahead and say the first, and you can skip a couple lines here inside of that. The first row of text aligns with the bottom of the image. Notice, oh, God, my spelling's bad today. Notice that the image and the text are in line with one another. Both because the picture is the picture or image is within the paragraph. It is an inline element nested within the document. Sorry. Okay, so let's do a \p because it's within the p tag. So again, let's take a look here. So we have our image inside our paragraph. So here's our paragraph opening tag. Here's our closing paragraph tag. And our images within there, as well as our content. So let's go ahead and save and refresh. So you'll notice now my text is in line with my picture. It does give us, it'll give us some space below. So if we had another paragraph, it would give us multiple space below, just like the because it's a paragraph. But it shows you how the image can be set in place next to the image. So it depends on how you want it to look. So if I wanted to do another paragraph here, you could say the image of shows two matters cuddling. Did you know that matters meet for life? They do. They do. They choose one for their lifetime. And then \p. Save and refresh. And now you'll notice that there's another paragraph below, but the image is actually inside the first paragraph. So this is inside the start of a paragraph. Okay, so now we've got one more here. Let's go ahead and do a HR. And then let's do an H3. And this is going to be in the middle of a paragraph. So in the middle of a paragraph here. H3. I'm going to save just so I can see it, make sure everything's working well. Again, save and save often and refresh your browser. So just do a little at a time. It will save you time and energy in the long run, just in case your computer shuts down or you didn't save it. If you just get in the habit of saving things as you go a little bit and then refreshing your browser just to make sure it's working, it will definitely help you. Okay, so we have in the middle of a paragraph. So what we're going to do is we're going to start our paragraph first, and we're going to actually put our image in the middle of it. So we have a paragraph, And the reason why I give myself white space in my HTML is just like I said, to give myself visual space so I kind of know where things or sections are. So for example, if you take a look at this, kind of see the bigger front, you'll see that at least I can separate my H3s a little bit. I can see my paragraphs, so it's not all one line. You can put white space in here and it doesn't necessarily affect what you're seeing on the screen. So you can go ahead and hit enter, hit return multiple times to kind of give yourself some space. So I could like separate all these H3s a little bit, kind of tighten things up a little. Give me definite space between the horizontal lines in there. Just so you can see where the sections are. Okay, so we have a paragraph. The image is placed between the words of the paragraph that appears in. So you will see that there will be some content, and then an image, and more content afterwards. The image will remain in line with the text. Okay. All right, so let's put our image in here. I like to kind of give myself some space. IMG src equals, again, it's in my images folder, which is in my placement folder. So images, otter 3, I believe is what we called that third one. Yep, JPEG. Quotation mark. We have an alt name, which is otter 3. We have a title, which is otter. Oops. In middle, otter. And width is going to be 100. Oh, what did we say? 200? Sorry, I just like to get them the same size. Height, you can change them as you go along. Height is 200. And now I'm going to type some more of my text. So I said the image is placed between the words of the paragraph it appears in. So you will see that there will be some content, and then an image. Oops, should be singular. An image and more content afterwards. The image will remain in line with the text. You will also see that the text follows the line of follows the line, and space is provided for the image, but the text does not wrap around the image. Meaning it will leave a big gap for this for the size of the image, and you're gonna see that. So I need a \p because my image is within my paragraph, within the content or the text. All right, let's scroll down here, and there it is. So you'll see that I have my text here, It's going, and then boom, there's the image. So the image is still in line with the text. It just breaks for the size of the image. So if you want your image, I'm gonna just copy that here. I'm gonna cut this, or I'm gonna delete it here. If you want your image, save it and refresh, to be at the end, you might put where it says, let's say, the image, or let's do maybe before, afterwards here. So let's go ahead and put our image here. So I have img src equals images slash matter 3.jpg. It's going to have an alt matter 3 title in middle matter width is 200 and height is 200. Save and refresh. And now you'll know it's afterwards. But let's say you want it, maybe we don't want it quite over because it's a larger image. Let's make this smaller image here. It'll be really small here. I'm gonna make it 50 by 50. See how, depending on the size of your image, if you wanted it to the far right of your text, you could make your image smaller or change location. So you'll notice that it goes right in line. Wherever you decide your image should be or want it to be, it's going to go right after that. It's going to be in line with the text. So it's right after the word afterwards in the period. And then you puts the image right there. And then your text or the following sentence follows after that. So be aware of the location of the images. And as you can see, that's basically how it works. So when you place the images in the code, it is important because the browser shows the HTML elements in one of two ways. It can be black elements always appear on a new line. So depending on how you use your black elements, it could appear like a black element if your paragraph is behind it, or if it's placed before the paragraph. Examples of the black elements include using like paragraphs or H1s if you want. So you could also, like how we did this paragraph here, you could also do an H1 afterwards, or how we did an H1 before it, and then a picture after. That makes it look more like a black element, so it gives space above and below it. If the image is followed by a black level element, so if it's followed by a paragraph or a header, it will create a new line and give it the look as it does for before a paragraph. If it's inline elements that sit within a black element and do not start a new line, the examples would be using the start of a paragraph or in the middle of a paragraph, meaning it's right in line with the text. If you wanted to break it up, you could use a BR. You could also use another black element afterwards to kind of break up the information. So that not only shows you how your images look, but it also shows you the difference between having things black element, meaning how it separates the text or the pictures from each other, from inline elements where you can have everything right in line. So for example, we could also do, let me go down here. and do an HR. So, and then an H3. And now this shows inline elements. So you could say, pictures or images are inline elements because they follow inline as to how they are coded and do not create a block effect here. There is space above and below the images, images, nor is a new line created. Okay, so let's do our images here. I could have img src equals images matter 1 alt matter 1 title matter 1 width. Maybe I make it 100 height. Now, if your picture is already set to a certain size and you don't put a width and height, it'll just default to that size of that picture. But sometimes it's nice to have control over the size of your picture. So save and refresh just to make sure my picture shows up. All right, so there's my first otter. And then let's go ahead and do the other two. So I have img src images otter 2. Now, if you have, as I said in the beginning, you could have different pictures than otters, but just make sure that you know what you're naming them. Okay, here we go. Save and refresh here. And there we go. So as you can see, here it shows how they're all in line. Make this. They're all in line, and there's no break, meaning they're not breaking a line and dropping down below each other. So they're all one right after each other, and that's what an inline element would be. And images are defaulted as inline elements. Okay. All right, so that's your assignment. When you finish, make sure that you compress the file. So let's actually go ahead and do that here. So I have my images folder, I have my placement HTML, and it's all inside my placement folder outside here. So it's in my web design folder. I then go inside that folder and find the placement assignment folder. And I'm going to compress. So I right click and I compress that, and it makes it a zip file. And then that zip file is what I'm going to hand in. So please make sure that you are zipping the entire folder, and inside that folder, it should have placement.html and your images. The reason why I do that is because it allows me to get all of your images that are in your images folder as well as your HTML file all in one giant folder, and I can take a look at it. Unfortunately, you can't upload a whole folder into Schoology, so that's why we have to make it a zip file. And then you're just going to make sure that I get that whole file. If I don't get a zip file, I won't get your images, and I won't be able to see what images you chose for your assignment. Okay, so let's go ahead and submit placement.zip.